Well, hello there, everyone. We have a special series that we're going to be running through the next few months that involves time spent with some of our long-term members of the chapter. As you know, we have quite a few members in the chapter, but we do have also a subset of our chapter members who have been members for over 10, sometimes 15, sometimes 20 years, all the way through to the inception of the chapter at its earliest stages. And today we have with us Barbara Agard-Raymond, who is one of our legendary chapter members. She will not like to hear me say that, but she is a project management professional with a significant amount of wisdom, a tremendously varied background experience. And there's a lot that we can learn from her as we speak to her through the course of this interview. So, first of all, good evening and welcome, Barb. It's so nice to see you this evening.
Hi, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you and to share some information for the PMI Lakeshore chapter. I am
I
very committed to the success of that chapter.
That's wonderful. And we know you've backed that up by the amount of time that you've actually been a member of the chapter. So thank you for your loyalty to the chapter and the work that you've done within it and within the profession as a project management professional. The first question I'd like to ask you is this. Can you tell us about your journey through your career in project management over the years that you've been in project management?
Well, it's been many years, and interestingly enough, I was managing projects before I even knew what that phrase meant. People that I reported to were giving me tasks or initiatives, and they were monitoring those things to make sure they came in on time and that they were done in the manner that they expected them to be done. My journey in project management really took off when I started to work for a financial institute. Of course, in that institute, I went into IT, and there were very few females there. So it was a matter of treading through the water back then. And through the kindness of one of my work colleagues, who was asked by one of the senior leaders to go and take a course in project management, I became a project manager. She did not want to go and take that course alone. So she asked if I would go, and I reflected for a long time and I thought, what do I have to lose? By nature, I'm a continuous learner. And I thought, you know what? I'll take the course. Little did I know that the organization decided to bring a facilitator in. And it was a 1 week course. And the expectation was that we'd still do our job. So we'll go to the course in the daytime and then work late to finish what we needed to do. It worked out very well. At the end of that time, we were told you should write that exam and become a PMP within a very short space of time. Well, the course was finished, and shortly after that, both her and I were assigned to very large scale organizational transformation projects. So, you know what that meant? Absolutely no time to study. But I was grateful for that opportunity. And it took a few years before I became a PMP. But it was a good experience. And through that journey, with the help of many people, I was able to grow and to give back. I believe in volunteering. I come from a family where we're continuous learners and we volunteer. My mother, at the age of 85, was learning new skills. So, can you imagine? It was just handed down through the genes. It's been a good profession. I enjoyed it. It allowed me to branch off in terms of moving into things like risk management, change management, process reengineering. I enjoyed it, and I'm still enjoying it.
That's wonderful. And from what you've described, it's been quite a rich and varied experience that you've had, process management, et cetera, and a transformational project. When we hear that today, it's terrifying. It must have been even more so back then.
Absolutely. You know, 20 years ago, it was worse. It was
Yes.
like, what is that? Oh, wow. But it was a good learning opportunity for others and for myself.
Amazing, amazing. Well, the second question I have for you is this: as a woman who has progressed and prospered in a largely male profession, things are changing now, but it wasn't always the case. Are there any experiences that you'd like to highlight as key formative moments in your career? Those things that shaped the person that you became as a professional?
Absolutely. That's a very good question. Thank you for asking that question. Most of my career has been working in IT. For a few years, I worked in the business side, but always alongside IT. But I've always been an IT professional working in project management. And as I said, my career took off when I went to work for a very large financial organization. And one of the work colleagues there was asked to assist me, to orient me. Back in the day, that phrase was not a phrase that we used a lot, but that was his role. And I realized that every time I asked him a question, he always referred me to a manual. And one day I said to him, why are you referring me to the manuals all the time? I notice that there are a few of us, mainly the ladies who work here, that you're always referring us to manuals. But other colleagues come by, your male colleagues, you tell them the answer immediately, but you're always sending me to read. And his response was, I want you to learn. And I said, I will learn as long as you treat me the same way you expect me to treat you. The learning opportunity from that was that one always has to think things through carefully. One has to be determined. And of course, I was very blessed that I met other people, both male and females, who helped me on my journey. And I was able to learn new things and to give back. So the experience from that particular example that I gave you was that one has to speak up, one has to be prepared to understand what is the benefit of what you're doing, how can you grow, but also how can you pay it forward. And from that day forth, after him and I had that conversation, we became the best of friends.
Beautiful, beautiful. Are there any other experiences or incidents that come to mind?
There's one other incident that came to mind in terms of something that really helped me grow. And that was when I came to work at the project management chapter. I came there as a volunteer by chance. It wasn't planned. I was alternating between Toronto, PMI chapter, and the Lake Shore. The Lake Shore was relatively new. So I must have gone there within perhaps the first year. And I wasn't a member. I was alternating as a guest. And of course, every time I went to the other chapter, I had to take the train home. And the train only came back in those days once an hour. So what was happening was that I would go to the Toronto dinner meetings. I would have to leave halfway through the presentation in order to catch the train at a decent time at nighttime, or go to the stay for the end of the presentation and then take a later train. And one night I thought, this is not a safe thing to be sitting at Union Station at 10, 11 o'clock at night waiting for a train. Not a good idea. So I moved to the PMI Lakeshore chapter. And what shaped me there was that I was given an opportunity to really reach out and help others. And that really helped with my learning. And I was very grateful for that.
That's beautiful. Barb, in fact, you've partially answered the next question that I was going to ask you, which is, as a long-term member of the chapter, what have you seen as some of the benefits of being a member in this chapter?
For me, the benefit was that every time I had a suggestion in the early days, because there were very few of us, I would say in the first year and a half, any meeting that we held, especially the dinner meetings, Usually there would be five females, maybe 10 at the most. You can count them. And one of the benefit was that there was a lot of work to be done in order to grow the chapter, but there were not that many volunteers. And the first time I went to the chapter as a guest, there was somebody who was looking after the registration and so forth. I got there early and I thought, hmm, she seems to be absolutely run off her feet. There were just two of them. And I gave my name and I said to her, can I help you in any way? And she said yes. And from that day forth, we became friends. She even hired me several years later. But the benefit here is the networking opportunity. So there are many benefits to being a member of the chapter, but there are opportunities to volunteer, there are opportunities to network. And that's what I liked about the chapter.
Mhm. Beautiful. Um, has volunteering at the chapter helped you professionally at all?
Absolutely. I think anybody who presents, who stands up in front of an audience, whether it be on a volunteer basis or a professional paid basis, will tell you it takes preparation. One has to be organized. And sometimes one is a little bit concerned. One has those butterflies in one's stomach. So, in terms of the work that I've done at the chapter, facilitating the dinner meetings and facilitating the educational sessions at UFT, launching the educational sessions at Square One and in Burlington, that helped me develop my ability to facilitate. And that's something I think a skill that one can always use, regardless to what one does for a living. So I was very grateful to become a facilitator through that experience.
The last question that I have for you is this: for young people, particularly, we have a dearth of young people coming into the profession. And we can sometimes see that in chapter meetings where we don't have a lot of millennials and post millennials. But for those that are entering, for young women in particular who are entering project management as a profession, is there any advice, anything that you'd like to share with them to help them to really ground themselves well and be successful and effective as project managers?
Well, there's one that comes to mind that I particularly want to share with you. And this is something that I've shared with many of my work colleagues and even people that I meet at occasions, different events. And that is project management sounds like something really harsh, something really exact, something that takes a lot of time to learn and to execute and build a skill. The answer to that is yes, but take it in stages. Think of project management as a tool that you can use to plan. For example, you want to buy a house. There's a plan to buy a house. And if you think of it in small sizes, bit sizes, in terms of what do I have to do to plan? How do I know I'm on track? And just take a simple example like that. Work it through. How do I know when I'm finished? What are my expectations? What is the benefit of me writing down my expectations? And how I will know that I've completed the task when I've completed it. If you work through that, I think that would help younger people understand that learning to be a project manager is doable, but you have to take it in small stages. And like anything else in life, you build on it. And as a result of that, you will not only learn the technical aspects of project management, but you will become organized, extremely organized, or more so than you are. You will have the ability to facilitate conversations. You will be very much apt at planning, monitoring, and after a while, you could decide which aspects of project management do you really like, and then you can migrate into those streams. And I think that's one thing that anybody who goes into project management has to recognize. It's a matter of understanding the technical aspects, knowing what you like as an individual, and understanding where the opportunities are in order to allow you to blossom and move forward in the direction you want to be in. And that's a recipe for success. And of course, along the way, you're going to meet others where, excuse me, along the way, you're going to meet others whom you're going to give back to and help them build their career.
Beautiful, Barb. I have to say, it has been wonderful speaking with you. It's been a real joy. So, everyone, I hope that you have benefited from this conversation with Barb as much as I have. We've spoken to a woman of grace, of poise, of in-depth experience, who's accumulated a great deal of wisdom through the years because of the experiences she's had, the jobs that she's performed, the people that she has interacted with. And the rich essence of all of that has come out, especially in the advice that she's given us at the end for younger practitioners entering the profession. Barb, is there anything before we wrap that you'd like to say as a final comment?
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. And thank you for all the work that you currently do at the project management chapter. And I hope that the chapter will be able to continue to flourish and to encourage others, just like it encouraged me way back when.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. Thank you and good night, Barb. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.